welcome, my friends, to Happy Brain, Happy Life. Here with you once again, Dr. Myrelis Aponte, Dr. Mimi, for many of you. And I just remind you that my goal is to enhance your brain health by helping you understand how to feel, think, and act in a different way, in a better way, that you're able to be more successful, achieve more of your goals. And at the end of the day, you know what? Be happier. Doesn't everybody want to be happier? I know I do. And so today we have a topic that I think it's very popular. We are talking about emotional intelligence. And what I want to do with this topic is really unleash emotional intelligence so that you can understand how the brain, transforms and how it grows so you can master your emotional intelligence and you're able to just grasp new abilities. So let me go a little bit behind the scenes in that sense, right? We talk about emotional intelligence, and every time we talk about emotions, we put our bodies like if it was something outside of our bodies. And I say this often because we always talk about emotions as if they had nothing to do with our physical body. They have everything to do with just the environment. And although our emotions are triggered by the environment, by everything we think, feel, by everything we look at, by everything we touch, we feel, we smell, we taste, right? So every sense is helping us gather information so that we are able to think in a particular way. Then emotional intelligence does use the environment to be able to make decisions about everyday activities, everyday circumstances. And so it is so important that we understand where it comes from, right? Like, where does it begin? Because I think that once you understand the mechanism of how we can, exploit really in a positive way our emotional intelligence, then we're able even to overcome some things that may have impacted negatively our emotional intelligence as well. So let's start by saying that emotional intelligence, it is an intelligence, and actually there's a couple of theories about it. Gardner and Daniel Goleman actually was the first one who talked about emotional intelligence, and then Gardner went ahead and included it in the multiple intelligences theory. So there's a lot of theorists that out there that have talked about the importance. Now, does this mean that we are born with this intelligence? I mean, we will have some genetical factors, as we all do, but really, the genetical piece, we could estimate it. I'm not going to tell you really radical specific numbers, but we can estimate it somewhere around only 10%, of your decision making. So that means, guys, that more than 90% of our abilities are about us working on developing them. Now, different than cognitive ability. Now, cognitive ability can certainly be enhanced, strengthened. It really is going to depend about with more than 4 factors, and I've talked about those in the past. So you gotta go look one of those lessons where I talk about them. But we got our genetical factor, but we've got practice, experience, exposure to something new, and our education, right? So there are plenty of other factors that play a role in how we develop our emotional intelligence. And so understanding this is key, because our emotional intelligence, what is it, right? So everybody's talking about it, but what really it entails, and it really is the ability for us to recognize and understand and manage and effectively use our emotions in oneself, right? To myself, but also to others. So it does include how we manage our emotions, and we can certainly assess ourselves and see areas where we are really good, emotional, intelligent, and then we can see others where we could increase that emotional intelligence. And I'm the first one to say, listen, there's plenty of areas where we can improve our emotional intelligence every single day. Now, I want you to consider this, because It is not something that's already given, and that is it. However, we know where it lies, where we know where it all begins. And it is a combination of neural connections, right? Between our emotional areas of the brain, which is the limbic system. So it's central to our brain, it's on the inside, right? It's under our cortex, and then our prefrontal cortex plays a crucial role in it. And actually, there's a study by Davidson in 2000, the year 2000, where he showed how prefrontal cortex plays a role in that emotional regulation. And so, understand it in this way. Let me see if I can explain it. Our environment, right? Our environment gives us the information that we're looking at, we're sensing it, we're touching it, we're either smelling it or feeling it or tasting it, or we are sensing something in the environment or hearing it, correct? We're sensing something from the environment, and this information comes from our extremities, right? And our senses through our spinal cord. It goes up to our limbic system first, right? So it goes up to the medulla, then up the system and goes to the limbic system. And then in the limbic system, we kind of start deciding what are we going to do with it. So now all these neural connections go up to my cortex. And so my cortex starts deciding and starts creating patterns of response. So that's where behavior would come out of emotional intelligence, in that, have I done this before? Have I responded to this fear before? Have I responded to this particular experience before? And it will generate a reaction, right? A behavior based on a thought that was created out of this experience that I am getting through my senses. You understand that? So it is important for us to take a look at that and understand, okay, what am I really looking at? What am I making a decision of? How is my system making a decision of that? And then consciously processing it through the prefrontal cortex to make decisions. Now, when we have not created a process to make a determination on how to react, right? And that's where the level of consciousness comes in. That's where the level of awareness comes in. Then our previous experiences or bad experiences or similar experiences that may have not been directly related to this new experience, but because it was an experience, your limbic system helped in creating long-term memories, and it did not learn to think about what you were experiencing, right? To process what you were experiencing. And so when we don't teach our brain to take a moment to experience whatever it is that we're looking, thinking, sensing at that moment, then we're not able to process it in a more proper behavior, right? In a more emotional regulation behavior. So that's where the prefrontal cortex that Davidson is talking about comes in. And so it's very important that you understand this is not just developed in childhood, this goes from infancy all the way through adulthood, right? Now, it is very important to emphasize that childhood, early childhood, really shapes what we are experiencing or living today. And actually, there's an article also kind of in 2002, Belsky and Fear, they talked about how there was such a correlation, right? A direct correlation between childhood experiences and your current emotional intelligence. And I love emotional intelligence because actually, as I was doing my doctoral degree, one of my professors, we decided to do or create an emotional intelligence assessment for work environment, and we actually worked during a whole class just to create and develop that assessment in Puerto Rico, and it has been used in so many more occasions afterwards that I was really proud of being part of that, because it really helped me understand how in this process really emotional intelligence plays such an important role for us professionally, not only in our relationships, right? In our social relationships, in being a mom, a dad, a husband, a wife, or a partner, or in being a father or a mother, right? Or a sibling. What an important role, but also why we're at where we are at currently, and especially because you're looking at this, you're looking for ways to improve your life, improve yourself, right? And so there must be things that you're kind of questioning. How do I manage them? How do I move forward? How do I change this? And I can tell you that today, in the work world, in the professional world, in the business world, those who have a strong emotional intelligence are the ones who are succeeding, are the ones who are moving to the next level, are the teams at work that are moving, one step forward and achieving their goals and achieving their targets, because they are working with who they are, how they regulate their emotions, but not only within themselves. Remember the the meaning that we were giving this, but more than anything, how we are able to understand others. And so there are a number of pieces that can come within us. I'll probably do more than one teaching on this, because really emotional intelligence is key. And I have my friend Regina, who actually has a whole curriculum on emotional intelligence that I love. And it's because um, corporations right now, corporations need to emphasize on this. You can have somebody that comes out of college or comes out of having a master's or even a PhD, and they don't have a level of emotional intelligence to manage not only the level of stress. I have talked about stress. We shouldn't live in high stress at all. It's not good for the body, it's not good for the brain, it's not good, for your overall health. However, emotional intelligence helps us, right? Our previous experiences, what we use and do with our previous experiences, really play a role on that prefrontal cortex in making decisions. And so that's why there's a phrase from John Maxwell that I love, because he always says it's not experience that'll give you learning. It is the evaluated experience that will give you learning. And this is crucial for emotional intelligence. It's really that experience, that hard time, that difficult time that you went through, and what you do with that, right? How now you teach your brain what to do with that difficult experience. That is why when you're going through a hard time, when you're going through something really difficult, when maybe you've lost someone you love really closely, a divorce, I mean, something that's had really hit you hard, the best thing you can do is serve. So while serving somebody else, while giving out of yourself, your body, your brain starts making just new connections of resilience, okay? And it makes new connections of just giving you the energy that you need to move forward. And I wasn't present, but in Puerto Rico, many of you probably have heard it. I had just arrived to the United States, and moved for my husband's work when Hurricane Maria hit the island. The island actually got hit by two hurricanes, one right after the other, and it was massive. The destruction was massive. The level of destruction and chaos was really horrific. However, one thing that the Puerto Rican community did and continuously worked on was, you know what, helping each other. So people started supporting each other, getting creative. How do we get water? How do we get even, there was no electricity for months. There was no water for months. How people, I saw the most incredible images out of people being resilient, and creating that resiliency. And what is resiliency, right? So resilience is our ability to come back from something hard, from something difficult, and achieve it successfully, right? And be able to grow from it. So being emotionally intelligent does not mean things are not going to hurt. Being emotionally intelligent means you're able to manage your emotion to a point where you're able to move forward. And as entrepreneurs and as business owners and as, as people who want to move forward in their personal and professional lives, this is a crucial skill. It's actually more valuable of a skill than anything else. And so, why are we able to learn it? Because we have neuroplasticity. Our brain, we can have had lots of trauma in the past, and this is why childhood is so critical, right? We could have had very difficult experiences growing up, and this does not stop your emotional intelligence from developing. So, neuroplasticity extremely important because it actually indicates that we're able to improve through deliberate practice. The more we evaluate an experience, the more we are conscious about that experience, the more we are able to just take it as a whole and work with it and through it, the more emotional intelligent you will become. So there are 5 strategies that I want to leave you with before we are done today, and I want you to take just a moment to see which ones are you already using, or maybe just are easy to to apply to your life, and which ones probably you can incorporate. Okay, so number one, self-awareness. Be conscious, define, let's define what self-awareness is what does this mean to me, what this particular experience means to me, how does it affect me, how do I feel about it, right? And so some of the strategies that help us be self-aware is mindfulness. I have talked about mindfulness a lot. I know there are several and different perceptions of mindfulness. Is still being studied. It's an early science, let's put it like that. It's early in research, but again, there is at the same time so much good that have come out of comparing and seeing what self mindfulness causes, right? And it just helps us be in the moment, connect with ourselves, and improve whatever our thoughts are, right? Improve those current thoughts that are happening in the moment. Number 2 strategy is empathy. And this goes a little bit with what I was telling you of serving. Empathy is our ability to understand and share others' emotions, but we don't have to feel the same as the other person. We don't have to feel sad as the other person. We don't have to feel bad as the other person. We don't have to feel guilty as the other person. We just need to be able to share, to be in the moment and understand that this person, it might be a very difficult moment for that other person, right? And identify that this is hard for them, not necessarily us. And so there is the role of in here is the role of mirror neurons, right? In empathy. And that means that we encourage you to kind of listen, right? For to create empathy, we need to be good active listeners. So this is a skill to develop. This is something that we teach teams, and we teach groups and corporations, because it helps them have a perspective of how you're taking it, to enhance it, to enhance your relationship with others, right? At work, on a team, on your leadership. It is so important. And so mirror neurons means, I'm able to reflect what you're feeling. I'm able to understand you and connect with you. And so there's plenty of research of that, but empathy is a key role in having a successful team, because a team and people that feel that they are understood, that the feelings can be connected, they are able to respond much more to your leadership because they know you care, right? Now, also, it's emotional regulation, how we manage our emotions, right? Why is this important? Because it helps us maintain our composure. Let me tell you, this is one area that I have grown incredibly. I come from a military dad, from military family, but also I come from military school, and so I was very into rules, order. And so even though my personal personality, wasn't really into rules and so much regulations. I became that. And so I remember people would say, oh, a ponte is coming, because I would even walk hard, and down in the office, everybody knew how my steps sounded. And so I had to really connect with myself and understand how people were perceiving me, not because my heart was there, but because my emotions on, decision making and on being able to lead was in a strength mode and not in a connecting mode. And so I had to learn to connect with my team. I had to connect to bond and be able to understand them and be able to empathize. Now, also, it's important that we, in that cognitive regulation, there's a number of cognitive, reappraisal techniques. There's a number of, effective, even breathing techniques that can help you connect to your emotions, but also be able to manage them and be able to maintain your composure. Okay. So it really prevents conflict more than anything, because as human beings, we are always into conflict, right? There's always some kind of conflict when there's two or more people involved. And so the more you know how to manage your emotions, the more effective you're going to be. Excellent in the workplace, excellent in, in our businesses. Now, number 4, very important, social skills, building positive relationships. It is so significant to create healthy relationships. There is plenty of research on the impact of social skills, so much that, we actually are able to train on this, because it just creates more communication, it solves conflict, and it allows for cooperation significantly more. So make sure you're developing those social skills. There's people that, according to your personality, maybe you're more of an introvert, but you should exercise it. And the more you exercise it, you know what? The more emotional intelligent you become. And last but not least is motivation. Now, what is your driving force? What is your personal growth? And as leaders in our organizations or in any, team that we lead or we participate in, your driving force drives others. It doesn't only just help you achieve your goals, but it also improves yourselves, and it also, I say, it just influences others. So your level of motivation, I remember doing this training, it was like over 90 employees in this one place. It's the first time that this company ever did anything motivational, anything. Their training was always very, um, according to them, very targeted, goal setting, technical. Technical is the word that I wanted to use, very technical. And so for the first time, they wanted to bring something different that would help them connect, that would help them grow. And I remember that actually the CEO of this company kind of saw me working with the team, with the whole team, and how they were lighting up, but it was because my energy was being influenced to everybody in there. And I remember him saying something like, she is crazy, but she is awesome. And I think that was the best compliment I've ever had, because your level of motivation can actually impact others, and it can influence positively on others. So today, be that influence on others. If you're being on others, it's already impacting you positively. So make sure you're connecting with somebody, you're making a difference. And at the end of the day, let me tell you this, there is a neural basis. We start in the brain, as I always say. People say the brain starts in the gut. No, the brain starts in the brain, and it lets the gut know it needs to release the correct chemicals so that our whole body can feel those and produce those. Everything starts in our brain, people. Our neural connections are key. The most beautiful thing is that we're able to create those connections. We are the authors of those connections. We are able to put them together, and our emotional intelligence can improve our personal and professional life. So embark on a journey, to strengthen your emotional intelligence. And you know what? At the end of the day, what is going to happen? That a happy brain is going to end you in a happy life. I hope you have enjoyed today. I hope you have learned something. Share with me on the comments because I would love to hear. I would love to know. And see you in the next